Hi, welcome to Making Life Changes. This is Harold Helm, and this is our very first urban gardening video we've ever done on our channel. I'm very excited about it. A lot of y'all have been watching me for a number of years with Bible sermons and videos about prophetic current events. But you know, the health message is the right arm of the gospel. And so I started getting into what's known as urban gardening using a method of square foot gardening. And I started to basically watch a bunch of videos like y'all guys are doing right now, and I learned how to grow my own food. I live in Houston, which is zone 9A, and I have a small duplex that I live in, so I don't have a whole lot of space, as a lot of people don't in the city. And so I grow a huge amount of crops. I have over 200 plants right now, over 50 different varieties. I live in the Houston area, as I mentioned, so I have really good growing seasons. I can really grow food all year round. Right now it's almost summer, just about a week before summer starts, middle of June here, and so it is starting to get very hot in Houston, but I'm still able to grow lots of vegetables. And so that's what I'm going to be teaching on my new urban gardening channel, because the health message is the right arm of the gospel, and God does want us to be self-sufficient. He wants us to adhere to his original diet, which was not meat, but was fruits and vegetables and plant-based diet. And if you do that, you're going to live a lot longer, you're going to be a lot healthier. And particularly with the current crisis and the current situation that's going on with CDC calling for food shortages of biblical proportions, it's just good to be prepared and getting off the grid as much as possible. And so that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go around and show you my garden here, and in the upcoming videos I'm going to be teaching you how you can have a sustainable urban garden as well. But before I do, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't forget any of my reminders for my new up-and-coming videos. And most importantly, share this on social media so other people can learn how to do this too. Okay, I'm going to start on the left side of my garden. This is my zucchini plant. It has some nice green leaves in the center. Those are the new growth, but on the outside you'll see I'm starting to get some powdery mildew. I'm going to have to hit it with the trifecta. Now I maximize all my space here using the square foot gardening method, and so I'm growing this zucchini plant in an aero grow bag. These things work absolutely great because they provide good space when you don't have a whole lot of space. You can put them pretty much anywhere, but also they allow the plant to breathe, and so the plant's able to grow very fast and healthy. Now this is my Roma tomato plant, and of course it is summer, so my tomato plant's pretty much on its last leg here. This plant's about 9 months old, but you see I still am going to get a nice harvest out of it. Tomato plants will keep growing, but typically I'll go ahead and let them finish one full good season, and then I'll cut them down and plant some new tomato plants, because after year one they'll still produce, but they don't produce as much as they did the first year. Really nice aromas off of it, great for pico de gallo, good salsa garden. Then also I'm growing these in aero grow bags, as you can see, and then I also have a Brussels sprout plant, actually two Brussels sprout plants I'm growing in one aero grow bag. And these will be ready here in a few months. You can see they're already starting to make Brussels heads on them. You can see we maximize all of our space here at Square Foot Gardening. I also have a sweet potato plant growing right behind my Brussels sprouts, so I really don't let anything go to waste. No space goes to waste when you're doing urban gardening because you don't have a whole lot of space. Now this is one of my main growing areas. It's only about 64 square foot. But I have quite a few plants growing in here. Brussels sprouts, I have sage growing down here. I like to use herbs because they help repel a lot of pests. And I divide each area of the soil into a square foot, and that's going to determine how many plants I can put down in each square. I took twine and basically divided my area off. And you can see in square foot gardening, you can grow like one tomato plant in a square, one bell pepper. You can get 9 onions, 4 heads of lettuce, 6 carrots, 16 leaf lettuce, because they're small, a couple cucumber plants, and so on and so forth. As you look down at this list here, you'll see all the different amounts of plants that you can put in one square. And so you want to maximize your space, and you want to divide your area. I've gotten to the point now to where I know exactly what I can put in each square foot, what that square foot looks like, and I also use what's known as a square foot guide. And these are really helpful. I'll put a link in the description below and show you where you can get one. And literally it's color coordinated. You just put it on the ground, drop your seeds in depending on the type of plant, vegetable that you want to put down. It makes it super easy and your garden looks really, really nice. A nice huge eggplant here. Now this is a huge, massive eggplant. That's one plant. You can see it's absolutely gorgeous. This plant has been alive for about 6 months. I kept it alive through the winter, and now it's in the summer. You see it's just producing really nice looking eggplants. It puts out a bunch pretty consistently, and this plant will stay alive for years as long as I can overwinter it and keep it alive during the cold months and watch it a little bit when it gets too hot. But it's doing really, really well. Now, also using aero grow bags right along my sidewalk here, as you see. I really like these aero grow bags. They're very inexpensive, and it helps me divide my area from my square foot gardening space that I have, that I've put Mel's mix in. Dug up. Underneath it was clay, and so I'm about 10 inches deep. Dug down. The clay's very, very thick, very hard here. And then on top of that, I filled it all the way to the top, about 10 inches to a foot, with Mel's mix. And it gives it really good nutrients, really good fertilizer that it needs naturally, and the plants absolutely love it. But I am limited on space, so that's why I also use the aero grow bags to maximize. And I can put a link down in the description below and show you where you can get those aero grow bags. Now, here I have choisum. I'm growing, if it's an Asian plant, I'm growing that around my blueberry plant, so I'm not wasting any space. Choisum's not a real big plant, so I can put it in there along with the blueberry plant. And you can see they're nice, lush, green leaves. They're doing really, really good. And I also have a couple little baby seedlings down there, which are tomato plants, and I'm just using that little space to get them started. I'll pull them out and transplant them and put them someplace else a little bit later on. And I'm also growing, in addition to choisum, in my next pot, I'm also going black-eyed peas and okra. And so that's something you can grow in the summertime. They're very hardy. And then even right along my little fence area here, I'm growing a Roma tomato plant. I don't let any space go to waste because I don't have a whole lot. So I'm maximizing everything using square foot gardening. And this is a cherry tomato plant. Actually, I have 6 cherry tomato plants in here, and they're producing great tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. I'll get a couple harvests out of this before this plant dies off. It's really a fall plant, but I wanted to just have some cherry tomatoes for the summer, so I was able to get them growing, build a little cage up, and that's kind of like my cherry tomato tower there. And it's not too hot yet. I'm hitting about 90 degrees. It is the middle of June, and the plants are still hanging in there. This is a tomato plant that I have, and it's doing very, very nicely. More Brussels sprouts, tomatoes. This is my chocolate bell pepper plant. That's right, I said it's a chocolate bell pepper. Bell peppers that are sweet, and they're great for salads. They're great. I use them in bread and butter pickles, which I just made out of cucumbers, which are absolutely delicious. And this is kind of a dwarf bell pepper plant, but it is a hybrid. And this is another tomato plant I have. And then you see on this other side of my garden, I have some kale, some more choisum. I'm going to be planting some new plants because it is too hot for them. I'm going to get one last harvest here in the next couple weeks, and I'll be pulling all those plants up. And right here I got some really, really nice eggplants growing as well. Those are Chinese eggplants, and my other eggplant is a Black Beauty. And you can see each square foot I have designated for a plant, sometimes multiple plants. I have a tomato plant, and at the bottom there I have some dwarf kale. This is dinosaur kale. It's doing very well even though it's summer. It's a very, very strong plant. It's very resistant to pests and disease. Now you're probably wondering what the red cup is. That is just like that one there, and underneath it you'll see that the mothball's inside. And then I put that cup right on top with a little pin, and I do that to keep whiteflies and other pests out of my garden. One thing that's very important to have in any garden is a place to start seeds and start young seedlings and plants. I get plants started on one shelf by seed, and then as they sprout, I'll move them up to the top shelf so they get a little bit more sun, and eventually I harden them off to where I can transplant them and put them in my garden. Now, looking out from the front of my house, you see I've got the two gardening areas, one on the right, one on the left, and I have bell peppers. That's a yellow bell pepper plant I'm growing right there. You'd also have dwarf kale. You could put 4 of them in 1 square foot. Swiss chard, 4 in each square foot. And you'll learn how to do all this as you get more familiar with square foot gardening. These are my beefsteak beef eaters. They're almost done. They've been alive almost 10 months. I'm going to cut them down as soon as I get the last harvest off these tomatoes. My mother, she does a lot of the canning for me. She's an expert at it, and she has canned up about 5 cases just off these plants right here in the last 2 months. Amazing. We're probably going to get another case out of them before we're done. Now, in my other grow space here, I have more kale, more Swiss chard. And this entire area here is about 65, 70 square foot. I have a Thai basil plant and thyme. Now, Thai basil is great because it attracts bees, and you definitely need bees to pollinate your plants. This is a red hot Caribbean pepper plant, and it is super hot. Let me tell you, the peppers get nice bright red, and they're just excellent. You don't need much of them, a little sliver of them. They're hotter than jalapenos, hotter than habaneros, serranos. This is the real deal right here, Caribbean red hot peppers. I'm also growing some little serranos down here at the bottom that you see. They're pretty hot too, but not as hot as those Caribbeans. More aero grow bags and containers. I have some mustard greens. I'm about to move them inside because it's just too hot right now. See them turning yellow and they're wilting. I can take them indoors and keep them alive through the summer to continue to get some yields. In my aero grow bags, I'm also growing Malabar spinach, and I have some little seedling tomatoes, and I'm just using the space there, and I'll transplant them as well. And then my trellis in the back that we made a couple weeks ago, me and my wife got out here and put that trellis up, and the plants are starting to grow on it, doing very well. You see more cherry tomatoes, and I also have some butternut squash, acorn squash, and some cantaloupes, and they're growing all along the back side there, and they're going to be growing into that trellis as well, and it'll really help support them. And we really maximize our space by running the plant on top of our shrubs. It just keeps them off the ground, and it maximizes the space that we have. No urban gardener can be complete without a compost bin. It is so vitally important that you learn to make your own soil. And you do that by making your own compost. In other words, taking food scraps and different material and naturally recycling it into soil. It's high in nutrients for the plant. It's very neutral pH, so almost every plant enjoys the benefit from it. And I use this and make what's called or known as Mel's Mix. And I'm going to be making a video here soon that will tell you exactly how not only the compost, but also how to make Mel's Mix, the perfect soil. You really don't even have to fertilize it with anything extra because all the nutrients and everything you need are right there. Compost bin, very important. I'll do a separate video on that and share with y'all how to make it. Now over here on the back side of my house, I have another container which I have some more kale in, and then I have a few more pots, Brussels sprouts. See, I love Brussels sprouts. I have a pepper plant there, and it seems to be a little bit wilted. It's been awful hot. May just probably need some water. And it's very important as well that you get you a water moisture meter. You got to have one when you're doing any type of gardening, so that way you know. See, it's very moist, so it's just a little bit too hot, and so the plant's not able to uptake the water, and so it's basically wilting a little bit to dissipate some of the heat there. My Brussels sprout plant's just right on the edge of dry and moist. And that's okay. I'm going to water it next day. I'll water it tomorrow. And this used to be my strawberry planter, but I planted kale in it here in the summer because my strawberry plants were getting old. I still have some strawberries going there, but the kale has really taken over, and the kale does very well in this planter. Thank you so much for watching, and leave your comments below. And if you'd like to know more about living a happier, healthier life according to God's Word, stop by and visit our online bookstore at makinglifechanges.org, and I highly recommend the book Ministry of Healing. Make sure you visit us at our main website, makinglifechanges.org, and sign up for our free newsletter. And then follow us socially on Facebook at Making Life Changes Ministries and Instagram at Making Life Changes.